Are you ever curious of what lies in the dark web?
Access granted.
Do you want to discover as you go deeper and deeper upon layers of files and onion links? Well then, let's check out the Dark Web Archive. Case file: Werewolf, Therian, number 001. Werewolves, or the more encompassing term, therianthropes. Unlike the deplorable representation in the crimes against literature, referred to as the Twilight Saga, or as I refer to it, why, I am glad I have no emotional connections to people. From the vocal interjections, Teen Wolf would be a far greater viewpoint. Apparently, therianthropes are more like guardians than monsters. Some therianthropes can have their mind twisted by their capabilities. Therianthropy refers to the ability to turn into an animal throughout unknown means. Werewolves are the more acknowledged example of this, but apparently, any strong enough connection to a spirit animal in training that differs from person to person. You can actually gain the ability to shapeshift. This shift is to a hybrid form of a human and animal, but very rare therianthropes can shift completely into the animal form. Though, these are more rare than an honest used car salesman. Before I continue, I will point out that the morticians that granted me permission have asked that I only archive certain cases involving the therianthropes and any victims, but they would rather this be more educational than threatening. I was able to point out that an example of a therianthrope who went blood mad, as they termed it, would be useful. They were not happy, but after several hours of a heated discussion, they relented, grudgingly. But only if I went into great detail about therianthropy and the differences to cryptids like skinwalkers. Like previously mentioned, therianthropy, or shifting, is different to the few other forms that other cryptids are able to replicate. The closest example is the skinwalker. However, due to the secrecy of Native American shamanistic rituals, we are unable to explain the ritual, and given the levels of stupidity and curiosity people can demonstrate, Tide Pods, I wouldn't post that information anyway, even if I did possess it. For therianthropy, the training stages allows the shifter to adapt to things like the skin of the animals, the muscles and speed. But the most tricky aspect is the mentality. Physical changes can be eased into to allow greater control, but the mental changes are the part where shifters can turn feral if the human mind doesn't gain dominance. One of these cases will be used as an example below. However, those who do make the shift successfully, they elect to use their powers to hunt the more dangerous cryptids and play guard duty for the bigger dangers. Though, while these Therians were effective in cryptid combat, they couldn't fight them all. The rake has an especially destabilizing effect on therianthropes. The skinwalker trigger is a truly heightened fight or flight response. The fight would be to the death, typically the Therian. The common Therian forms are wolf, horse, boar, and bear. There are others, but I am asked to mention them only in relevant case files. The case file I have chosen, and had to defend my choice for, is one involving the last true werewolf. I have been asked to omit any dates, as there are still hunters out there who are trawling sites like this, looking for clues to Therian threat. They are obsessed with killing Therians. Journals and maps indicate the location of where the last true werewolf was eventually killed. The language is not English, but something I was able to get translated. Again, the language is not something I'm allowed to disclose. We have been hunting him for the past 6 weeks. His aggressive nature is causing his trail to be easy, but we are patient. We know he is the last. The Inquisition, the Shadow One, has killed many werewolves, and eliminated most of the more insidious vampires. But this Lycan has proved to be a cunning predator, almost apex. He has avoided the small hamlets in the area. He must be hungry. This makes him even more dangerous. A predator that is hunted, hungry, and desperate. I do not expect any of us to live through this hunt, but his death is required. Therian 2 has informed us that we have found a lair. Tracks and recent kills indicate that it could be the Lycans. We spread out and attune our senses to sharpen. There are 5 other Therians, including myself. Therian 4 is a bear shifter. She is looking at the mouth of the lair with an odd expression. Human, the Therian whispered. All our eyes snap at each other. This changes things. A hostage or a snack. Unless we move, the human is dead. As the hunt leader, I walk into the clearing. I am a wolf shifter. There are 2 boar shifters, the bear shifter, and a horse shifter. The others follow me into a small clearing. The boars were twins. They nod at me. We know our roles. The boards were to play bait. The horse shifter was a trained healer, and the bear shifter is the main powerhouse. As a wolf, I have an inherent understanding of team leadership. I howl, reaching that primal aspect, issuing a challenge. The others scatter into their positions. I stand in front of the lair mouth. A growl that seems to shake the entire forest ripples from the lair. It stalked out with restrained strength. I had charged at it, and I knew the response. It charged at me. The Lycan leaped at me, but I slid along the ground as the boars charged in together. Their tusks barely broke its skin. From this point, the writing would change in style. The language was the same, but the writing is much shakier. It was apex. A Lycan reached the pinnacle, and we won't survive this fight. The bear charged in with a roar like a volcano. The blow seemed to shake the very air around us all. The leader started darting in and out, snapping at hamstrings and other weak points. The boars started to mirror their attacks, aiming for the same spot on the opposite side. If that makes sense. The fight was the most brutal I have ever seen. The Lycan's claws easily ripped through our flesh, and the bear was greatly wounded. The hunt leader was missing his throat, still clutched in the Lycan's right hand. The surviving boar was being held up in the left hand, and its kicks were getting weaker. I move and strike. My kicks are powerful. I reach out with a kick and slam into his throat. I can feel the windbox collapse beneath my hoof. He throws the boar away. A loud crack answers the question I dreaded. I start to dart aside, but with his last few breaths, he managed to slash against my stomach, and then he collapsed. I took the book from the leader, and have documented the final fight. I am dying, but this needs to be recorded. I'm going to ask the human who is staring at us. Get him to hand this journal into a sage. We fought well. Hey everyone, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that bell notification if you haven't. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and even donate to my Patreon if you're feeling generous. Thank you.